ChatGPT 4, or I should say 4.0, now accepts input of any combination of text, audio, image, and video, and generates any combination of text, audio, and image outputs.
In times of indecision, you have to have low friction offers. And how do you do that? Easier to digest, no contract, low contract, satisfaction guarantees. There's things like that take risk off the table. Look at our model and offer something different. You can still look at whatever you're offering, what other segments are out there in the market. Can you do interest-free, low interest? Can you do anything that will help the market that way?
Generative AI in search. So Google does the searching for you. So they've introduced a new thing called AI overview.
It's already happening. Like if you search for a recipe for something, it will give it to you in the Google search. You don't have to click. It will give it to you in the search results. Now, a lot of people from the SEO perspective are actually really worried about this. Publishers create content and Google rewards that content with traffic. That's the way it's been for 20 years. But what happens now if the traffic doesn't come? Now, more than ever, you have to create utility content, helpful content. Welcome to Inbound Bars. My name is Moby Siddiq and I'm joined again by Mr. Semi. How you going, Semi?
Good, man. Good. How you going?
Good. We've got a big show today. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about how businesses must adapt to volatility. That's something we're hearing a lot. Can't wait to rip into it. But before we do, we have some news.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump straight in. So news buzz, right? ChatGPT 4, or I should say 4.0.
Yes.
It takes a bit of time to get used to it.
It's not a point.
Yeah,
it's not like 3.5.
Yeah,
it's
right.
letter
O, which stands for Omni, right? Now accepts input of any combination of text, audio, image, and video, and generates any combination of text, audio, and image outputs. Let that sink in for a bit. It's like a human.
It's pretty cool. Like, so we just started playing with it.
Yeah.
We saw something where Marcus was doing. He said he went to a restaurant in Italy, Marcus Sheridan, and then he couldn't explain what he was trying to explain. And then he did it in ChatGPT. And like it pretty much kills Google Translate.
Yeah.
But we thought, no, we can do something better than that.
I think the key here is it's so fast though, right?
That's true. That's
the fast. It's like
fast.
It's not let it do its thing. It's like you speak to it and then it does it.
Yeah.
So even though we did this role play last week, I thought maybe you can have a go.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be really cool. Rather than talking about it, I want to show you guys something cool. So last episode 160,
yep.
We actually discussed pricing objections.
Yeah.
So if that comes up with your sales reps, definitely have a listen. I think it's really, really cool. Today, we want to see if we can do that role play with ChatGPT.
Like now.
Right now. So I don't know how live demos go because they don't go the way you want, but let's give it a go, right? So this is going to be a pricing objection and I'm going to role play with ChatGPT.
And mind you, whoever's got ChatGPT subscription has access to ChatGPT O, right? So there's a lot of people. So they can start that. They could do this now.
That's right. So if you've got the paid version, which is 100% worth it, you could do this, right? So let's see how we go.
Let's go.
So ChatGPT, I want to do a live role play with you. Are you ready?
Absolutely, I'm ready. Just provide me with the details about the client, the scenario, and the context, and we can start the role play.
Okay, so here's the context. The context is that we are at the end of a sales process. You're happy with the proposal I've given you. You just want a discount. Are you ready?
Got it. I'm ready. Let's start the role play.
Awesome. So I'll let you start. Let me know that you're happy with everything, but you just want a discount. And we'll start from there.
Sure thing. Here we go. Hi there. I wanted to let you know that I'm really happy with the proposal you've put together. It looks fantastic and covers everything we need. However, before we move forward, I'd like to discuss the possibility of a discount. Is that something we can talk about?
Look, I hear you. We can't do it. Is that going to be a deal breaker?
I understand. While the proposal meets all our needs, the budget is a significant concern for us. Could we explore other options, perhaps adjusting the scope slightly to fit our budget better?
So, to be honest, can I ask, how serious are you about doing this?
I'm quite serious about moving forward with this proposal. It's just that our budget constraints are tight, and we need to ensure we're making the best financial decision. If we can find a way to make this work within our budget, I'm confident we can proceed.
I completely understand. I think what we've spec'd out and scoped for us to do our job at the highest level with the right resources and the right people, that's what it's going to cost. So unfortunately, we can't give you a discount.
I appreciate your transparency. Given the value and quality your proposal offers, I understand the pricing. Let me take a moment to review our budget once more and see if we can accommodate the cost as is. Could we potentially discuss any payment plans or phased approaches that might help us manage the financial impact better?
Absolutely. We can keep the pricing as is, but we can certainly look at different payment plans. When are you ready to discuss that with me again?
That sounds like a great option. How about we set up a meeting for tomorrow afternoon to go over the payment plans in detail? Would that work for you?
Yeah, that we can do that. So provided we can do all of that, what's preventing you from signing off today?
Honestly, the primary concern was fitting the proposal within our budget constraints. If we can establish a manageable payment plan during our meeting tomorrow, I don't foresee any obstacles preventing us from signing off on this.
Okay, awesome. I'll send you a contract now. I'm happy for you to look at that preliminarily, and then we can do it in the meeting. You can sign off in the meeting if there's no other problems or concerns.
That sounds perfect. I'll review the contract as soon as I receive it and come prepared to finalize everything during our meeting. Looking forward to it.
So maybe just close a deal with ChatGPT.
So this is really, really interesting. When we did it before, it sounded different.
Yeah.
I actually said, is that going to be a deal breaker? And it actually said no. And it's interesting, it gave me another thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But I will sort of say this, right? This was really, really quick. What you can actually do in role playing, we talk about having reader heads. You could actually load up a reader head. You could type it out. You could load it into ChatGPT. You could even do this. You asked me a really good question. We listen to sales calls. So this is going to put me out of a job essentially. But we could actually take a sales call, take the transcript, upload it, because you can't actually upload the audio file, but you could upload a transcript, say this is the reader head, this is the context of the entire sale, prepare role play for me and it'll do it.
Yeah.
That is just crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Absolutely. And I think you asked one more question, which was like, can you put like customer, sentiment as they go through, right? And it said, yeah, if you do include it in your transcript, I can role play if they're feeling frustrated, sad, and whatever that looks like. We haven't tested that part out yet, but that's pretty cool, trying to get a, real life exposure without risking, actual dollar value with customers.
Yeah.
That's super cool, man.
So that's just crazy, right? It's not just Google Translate. It's not just speaking to it. Like you could literally, in our world, there's no reason not to role play now, actually.
Yeah.
Right. So this is something I'm actually going to recommend to our coaching clients as well. Like in the middle of, like once they've actually, if I've given them something and I've given them a scenario, go ahead now and role play that.
Yeah.
Because this is something you can just do, load it up. It's all about prompt engineering and it can take care of it for you. So I think let's move off of that. I definitely wanted to share a live example. So ChatGPT 4.0, so hard. Omni is live, combination of text, audio, image outputs. As you can see, it's extremely fast. And man, dude, I'm so excited. We just found that out before the show. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. All right, cool. Next one is generative AI in search. So Google does the searching for you. So they've introduced a new thing called AI overview, which when you do, Google does it already. You search it, it finds a whole bunch of things now. But instead of doing that, generates the response for you, right?
Yeah, they're taking it a step further.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what are your concerns, Mose?
So yeah, this is interesting, right? So like they're calling this came out of the Google I/O event, the 2024 I/O event just came out. Of course, as you could guess, a whole bunch of AI announcements, right? So this whole thing, they're calling it AI overview. So like you said, Semi, it's already happening. Like if you search for a recipe for something or you're like, oh, what's the capital of, like Pakistan or Uruguay or whatever, it will give it to you in the Google search. You don't have to click. It will give it to you in the search results. So that's already been actually happening. Now, a lot of people from the SEO perspective are actually really worried about this. So Paul Rote's a guy who we follow, is a great guy to follow from the world of AI, and especially marketing AI. He said something quite interesting. He said, publishers create content, right? And Google rewards that content with traffic. That's the way it's been for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens now if the traffic doesn't come, What happens now if you just get your entire answer in Google and there's no incentive for publishers to create content? Now, he makes a really good point. And, like a website is not like a publisher. Like, recipe companies or recipe websites should already be annoyed because they're kind of, pulling it out. But I would sort of say, like, when I find that stuff, I do click through. Like, if it's interesting, I always click through.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing too is, like, guys, people are going to freak out about this, but this is nothing new. Like, already, and I think it's 57% of clicks. This data that's old from a year or two ago from Rand Fishkin. 57% of clicks already searches don't generate a click.
Yeah.
So you search and then you don't go past the search results because you have your answer.
Yeah.
Think about when you're looking for a restaurant near you or like a local barber or whatever it is.
Reviews. It's all there.
You don't need to.
Yeah, you don't need to go inside.
So I'd say it's like, guys, this has already been coming. So don't be freaked out about this. But the more important thing is this now more than ever means you have to create utility content, helpful content. All right. We talk, we've got some clients in solar, like the type of content you should be creating is content that helps them in their purchasing journey. You know, string versus micros, or this product versus that product, this panel versus that product. Like, will I save money? Like, having it detailed as possible. Some people we call it the ask or answer content. Some people say 10x content.
Yeah.
But the best content you could have for a particular query is going to increase your chances that when this thing does hit the roof, your data is going to be the one that will be present.
So you're saying, just to kind of really simplify it, revenue generating content is still king.
100%.
Right.
And I do think Google has learned a little bit, because in the screenshots, because this stuff is in beta, I believe, because we couldn't get it in Australia, but in the screenshots and the video recordings that we saw, they actually have the links to the websites with the icon of the logo. So I don't think that they would make such. Now Google, they famously removed Google is not evil or do no evil out of their charter years ago, right? They famously removed that line, which is really weird, like even the optics of it. But I don't think from a commercial point of view, it makes sense for them to actually remove all links to websites.
Yeah.
So I personally wouldn't be worried. Yeah, sure, there's some industries that might be hit harder than others, but this has already been always coming. It's just more of the same. And they had to do something to compete with ChatGPT.
So if you're really good, you're really good, then you can still remain there, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So last little segment, which I thought was interesting to kind of add to this. It might have slipped through the cracks of the news and stuff, but Reddit and OpenAI have now introduced a partnership. This is going to be very interesting because it goes into the reliability and effectiveness of ChatGPT content. So we know Reddit, people that aren't really, or that everyone has a voice in Reddit, right? So now getting that content with a partnership with AI, does that mean that the stuff that's going to come out of AI, ChatGPT, is going to be reliable?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Reddit, sometimes you search for something and you're like, oh, it's a Reddit answer.
Yeah.
So it is, you're right, people do get annoyed by it. But then sometimes I do want to see Reddit answers. You know what I mean? I guess it's just that, but the fact that you're saying that, they have a partnership. So now in Reddit, they're going to utilize OpenAI and ChatGPT.
Yep.
And in ChatGPT, they're going to utilize Reddit. You would like to imagine that the quality of results is going to be higher. So yeah, you might get shitty results from Google still from Reddit, but in ChatGPT, you're going to get better results when it comes to Reddit.
Probably more human-like results.
Yeah. So if anything, like I think anyone kind of suspicious about this, you should be, because of the data integrity. But you always need to be checking data anyway. But just because Google's Reddit stuff is crap doesn't mean ChatGPT's will be, because they have their own language learning model and they have their own data that they're washing against. So I think it's good. You just have to, reader beware with everything with ChatGPT. You just have to be wary of what comes out.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to our featured buzz, right? Which is the independent. So we found an independent research. Just to kind of give a feedback, there has been some testament through our clients and stuff that this year is going to be a tough year, right? And so we thought about it too. So we did a bit of research, and we found IBISWorld's online advertising for digital in Australia, right? So we looked at that, and that they recommended some key success factors that businesses should do. Now, as I was going through, I was like, hey, this is not specific to online digital marketers or advertisers. This, it's quite
To
broad,
everyone.
right?
Yeah.
Especially with the, one of the concerns were like, the industry is growing. There's every day there's like a new marketing agency, a new digital advertising agency that's just created. It's diluting the overall market. How do successful businesses overcome volatility?
Yes. So like, just to go back a step, you're absolutely right. Like because we're across a lot of different verticals, we're definitely hearing it's a contracted market. Obviously stagflation, everyone's costs are going up. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. And when it comes to, so if you're listening to this and maybe it hasn't affected you, right? But maybe it has, or at least, people aren't pulling the trigger on purchases anymore. They're just holding back. They're just waiting. Like indecision if that's happening, that's quite common in a market like this. So yeah, like you said, like Semi said, we started looking at the data. We looked at it in our industry, but you're right. Like the factors themselves, the factors we're going to share. This from, I think I call it IBISWorld, but it's very, very well-known data. They survey thousands of businesses. So it comes with some actual research, so we thought we'd share that. But the first factor here was like, how do successful businesses, and that's the key word, how do successful businesses overcome volatility? And the first one was, there's two factors that come up. So let's talk about the first one, Semi.
Yeah.
The first one is produce goods that the market currently favors. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. So it says online advertisers must adjust their service to address changes in consumer behavior and present the most effective targeted advertising. The more profitable the campaigns run by the industry, the less risk of client budget cuts during periods of economic uncertainty. So,
and everyone's advertising, not just advertisers. So it applies to everyone.
I think what they're trying to say is be very specific with your targeting marketing, rather than just throw the bait out and see whatever you catch. It's not that. It's like, really understand your data, really understand your consumer, so that your client doesn't pull the trigger. This applies for every industry, right? Not specific to marketing.
Yeah. So we actually looked at this ourselves, and we kind of did this before we even read this report. But produce goods that the market currently favors. So for our context, just to give you guys an insight, listeners of the show know we have a digital marketing arm, traditional digital marketing services, content, SEO, paid media, right? Then we've got HubSpot, and then we've also got the coaching arm, which is a high value, high ticket item. You're looking at on average $10,000 per month to pay Red Pandas to coach you on sales and marketing. Cool, right? Get it. Now, what we're finding is that is also like people holding back. It's a big investment. So what we actually did, we're like, okay, how do we actually have a low friction offer? In times of indecision, you have to have low friction offers that are and how do you do that? Easier to digest, no contract, low contract, satisfaction guarantees. There's things like that take risk off the table. So what we did, and by the way, this is a shout out for our upcoming AI content coaching course, is we're like, okay, rather than sort of sell a big group or a big coaching item, is actually offer an 8-week program. So if you guys, we'll have this in the show notes as well. We've got an 8-week AI for content marketers program where coaches, so our head of content and AI, Luca, will coach you on how to create revenue generating content with AI, which is
and just to kind of add you on, mind you, it's not like as if he just turned AI and read a couple things and is like now is an expert. He's been doing this for the past 18 months.
Yeah.
And he's now like, he uses it for our clients. There's a whole bunch of data. We've seen results. So it's proven, tested, guaranteed that we can kind of go, okay, cool. Like this is a product where can stand by it, right?
So the work that Luca does, people are amazed how much output he has. One guy manages 3 articles per week, creates 3 articles per week, gets them promoted on the website, oversees our 2 podcasts, gets 56 bits of content scheduled, captions written, all of that with AI. On top of that, he does newsletters. On top of that, he does website pages and offers as well. Crazy amount of output. If it wasn't ChatGPT, we would have to literally hire another person for 3 days a week.
And just mind you, he does enjoy it, right?
He loves it. He absolutely
loves it.
So shout out, shameless plug and shout out for our AI content coaching course. If you're interested in that, visit the website. I'm sure we'll have links all over the place. I think the next one, depending on when you guys listen to this, will be in June 18th. But I'm sure we'll have waiting lists for subsequent. By the time you guys listen to this, it might be sold out. It's already 50% sold out. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. That's why we did this, right?
Yeah.
Like produce goods that the market currently favors. How can we look at our model and offer something different? Now, I know if you're doing something else, like say you do, let's go back to the solar industry, right? Like how are you going to do something? Like you can still look at whatever you're offering, what other segments are out there in the market. Can you do interest-free, low interest? Can you do anything that will help the market in that way? Could you, dare I say, look at adding products? Now, you've got to be very, 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 very careful with that. It's easy for me to say that on a podcast.
Yeah.
But could you, I understand there's operational, there's warehousing, there's installation, there's whole operational issues there. But if the market is moving, do you temporarily need to play with things, experiment with other things that are going to be more conducive to the market and what they want? So I personally believe it applies to almost every industry. Yeah. And that's what we've got to be thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, like I think you already touched on the second point, which was like secure economies of scale.
Yes.
Right. So that's what that is. So focus on reduce the average fixed cost, bolster profit margins by going wider customer base for that specific problem, so they can realize there's a problem, right? And then so you can sell more.
We're not talking about getting rid of niches, right? Like
no,
or I say niches. Americans have killed me when I started saying niches, but not talking about going too broad there. But it is adapting to the market, So that helps with economies of scale as well. But the next one, and then we'll end it there. So what products? The next key success factor, right? So we're talking about volatile markets. What products or services do successful businesses offer? We're talking about in the context of volatile markets. Yeah. So what's the first one?
So again, produce goods that the market currently favors.
Yeah, which we pretty much spoke about.
And finally, develop value-added products that are compatible with the renowned databases.
That I found very interesting. Right? I read that twice. I'm like, did we do a paid placement for them to say this? Because it's pretty much what we talk about,
this screams out, this screams out like data, HubSpot.
Any who cares, Salesforce, I don't care. Do something, right? Data. But it's saying develop value-added products that are compatible with a renowned database. It talks about segmentation, analysis. So for example, what they gave an example here. This can include audience analysis and segmentation or partnerships to help provide car and mortgage financing. So what I believe that example is like if you're in car financing or you're in a car company or a mortgage company, you could segment and have, car financing for these guys, mortgage financing for these guys.
Yeah.
Essentially just segmentation. Can you offer something specific that's tailored for a particular size? And one thing I will say is even if you're like, okay, cool, we just have like one type of customer, there is still segmentation there. You have some businesses that are, small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses, geographies. If you're in a consumer market, geographies, age groups, sex, like gender, there are ways you can actually segment. So develop products and services that are specific to your database.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of like make sure that so within what you have, you've got more of, right? And that's what it's touching base off. So yeah, man. I don't know how businesses will do without a data-driven approach to marketing.
Yeah. Really interesting.
Yeah.
So that's probably all we've got time for. It was a really, really fun show. Had a lot of fun with that AI stuff. Hope you guys got value as well. If you're watching anywhere or listening anywhere where there's a comment or a review system or a like iTunes reviews, definitely give us some love there. It really helps out the show.
Or just put a comment, because this goes on YouTube as well. So we'd like to kind of read them as well.
Ask
a question.
All right, guys.
Maybe that question might be in the podcast.
That's right. We will do that. We've done that in the past.
Yeah.
Definitely ask us a question. All right, guys. We'll join you again. Thank you for joining us this time for another episode of Inbound Buzz.
See you, Mobs.
Thanks for listening to Inbound Buzz. Learn anything? Return the favor by spreading the word. Want to make your mark in digital? Need help with your digital strategy, inbound, and marketing automation efforts? Then visit redpandas.com.au and be sure to tune in next time for another Inbound Buzz hit.